This is insane. It's actually just mind-bogglingly dumb. So, you know how the word woke has basically lost all its meaning?
Woke lady superheroes.
Woke immigration activists.
Woke mayors.
Woke anti-Semitism.
Woke movie remake.
Well, yeah, here I am thinking conservatives have either lost their minds or simply made a strategic decision to abandon all substance in their politics. No attempt is made to define what wokeness actually means, but then this bullshit happens. San Francisco reparations plan proposes $5 million for black residents. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to say to this? How am I supposed to describe this? It's woke. It's the woke mind virus. And I know now why Republicans don't need to define the word woke. It doesn't need to have a meaning because whatever it is, it means $5 million for black people. And it's not just that. A city-appointed panel also suggests guaranteed annual incomes of $97,000 for qualifying recipients and homes in San Francisco for $1 a family. The committee's draft proposal, first released in December, outlines more than 100 suggestions. In other words, the San Francisco policy is be black and never work a day in your life ever again. Or to put it even more succinctly,
I'm sorry I'm white! I'm sorry I'm male! Why? Why am I a monster?
Let's make this very clear. $5 million is exactly what conservatives say when they accuse liberals of being fiscally irresponsible. This is literally the welfare queen stereotype, but now it might actually become reality outside of the minds of the resentful white voter. From purely an economic point of view, you cannot just be handing out $5 million to random people. At best, these are effectively lottery winners who will never do another productive thing in their life, and you'd be draining fiscal resources that could be spent on actually needy people. Another consideration is it just makes you look insane. Seriously? $5 million plus a family home plus $97,000 on top of that? Do you ever want to be taken seriously in another election ever again? Democrats are supposed to be the responsible, policy-focused ones. Liberal goals and empty-brained idealism don't mix. Progressives don't have the luxury of common-sense mantras like, this is how it's always worked and society hasn't fallen apart yet. If you want to implement a new plan, you have to demonstrate its feasibility. More importantly is the fact reparations is the absolute epitome of incoherence, both in this specific case and in the larger moral context. Suppose you have two people, Mr. Black and Mr. White. Mr. Black's great-grandparents were slaves, his grandparents were second-class citizens in a segregated society, his parents were redlined and denied a mortgage, all of that systemic racism stuff. As a consequence, Mr. Black grew up really poor and never got the opportunities he deserved. Now suppose Mr. White's ancestors were rich landowners, but Mr. White's father was a gambler who lost all the household's money on his addiction, leaving Mr. White even poorer than Mr. Black. Now, who deserves more support from the welfare system? Now let's add another detail to the mix. Turns out Mr. White's ancestors were actually slaveholders, as rich landowners tended to be. And in fact, Mr. White's ancestors owned Mr. Black's ancestors. Does Mr. White owe reparations to the richer Mr. Black? After all, Mr. Black's parents were victims while Mr. White's predicament is his parents' own damn fault. Obviously, it would be ridiculous to ask Mr. White to pay the richer Mr. Black just because of his predecessor's choices or lack thereof. A person does not hold responsibility for the actions of his ancestors. Neither does he deserve credit for anything his predecessors experienced or accomplished. That is neither meritocracy nor equity. We're not religious nutjobs who believe in original sin. Whatever the context may be behind anyone's social position, none of it has any bearing on whether he needs financial support. Reparations is quite literally just some of us had ancestors who may or may not have done bad things to some other people, therefore all black people deserve $5 million instantly. Even if you accepted the premise that some sort of nebulous responsibility is borne by society at large or whatever, it still makes absolutely no sense to do reparations in San Francisco, and especially to this extent. Remember, California was a free state. Slavery was not even a thing in California. Not officially, anyway. I'm not saying racism has not been and is not a thing in California. After all, it was part of America. But if anything, racism was particularly pronounced against Asians. In fact, San Francisco segregated all Chinese residents into one area of the city and outlawed miscegenation between whites and Asians. Asians were forbidden from voting, holding public office or jobs, and owning land or property. And if you really want to count up the sins, we'll be distributing billions of dollars to everyone, from women to autists to left-handed people. And unless you want all your money to turn into Monopoly bucks, we simply can't do that. And think about what it means for something to be reparations. Dictionary.com defines it as monetary or other compensation payable by a country to an individual for a historical wrong. Unless someone objects to that definition, it's hard to see how compensation can add up to $5 million plus a house plus $97,000 per year forever. What are we compensating again? Do you mean to say if racism hadn't happened in San Francisco, the average black man would be over $5 million richer than he currently is? Not even white people have $5 million. Or are we saying all black people are owed the sum total of all the economic shortfall experienced by all previous black people in American history? None of this makes sense. None of it is supposed to make sense. There's only one thing that can explain this proposal. It's the woke mind virus. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's woke, and that ruins it. Social justice warriors go to such great lengths to prostrate themselves and beg forgiveness in order to virtue signal their absolute loyalty to the most supposedly disadvantaged people. Not only does practicality not matter, it's actively avoided. To these people, if policy is determined pragmatically, then it can be confused as disingenuous or self-serving. It's not about getting shit done, it's about proving you can pass the purity test. So for all those progressive-minded people out there who aren't absolute dipshits who were dropped on their heads as children, heed my message. Actual leftism is not about grievance or retribution or revenge, nor is it about putting a certain group of people on a pedestal based on how badly they've been mistreated. Leftism has always been about changing society into one that works for everyone. In a functional society, opportunity would be available to even the unluckiest of us. In such a society of opportunity, reparations would be completely superfluous. That is the goal we should be striving for. Keep your eyes on the road, and remember, politics is a team sport, but if you lose badly enough, you die.
I'm and I approve this message.